So I was on holiday a few days ago and I popped into a bookshop, as is my wont, and having a look along the shelves, and I came across this spine. Chris Mould's War of the Worlds, a graphic novel. So, ooh, um, have a look. As I've said many a time to anybody that will listen, H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds is my favourite novel of all time. The 53 George Powell film is one of my favourite films of all time, and the Jeff Wayne musical version is one of my favourite albums of all time. So, yeah, of course, I'm drawn to this, aren't I? And it's a graphic novel. It's like, oh, wow, this is going to be interesting. And it was very curious because I started doing this, having a flick through, and it's like, that's not a graphic novel. And then it's like, but that's a graphic novel. What's going on? Okay. So intrigued, I bought it. Um, got it home and I read it, and it became curiouser and curiouser. It is a very curious read. Um, Having read it and now looking into it, I understand now why I found it curious. This is essentially a children's book, um, which explains some things which we'll get into. But also, I saw a interview with Chris Mould, and he started out by saying that he and Faber, when they decided to do this, he said that it needed help to sit comfortably in the current market. Okay, and basically what he's talking about is, if you read H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds, um, there ain't many females in it, and they don't have a big role. And so Chris decided to address that. He was saying in the interview about, when he was growing up, watching films, you had strong um, female characters like Ellen Ripley, etc., etc. And he, a quote from him that I wrote down. He says, "The idea that Victorian, start again. The quote from him is that the idea that Victorian stroke Edwardian women were all just emotional wrecks in a hoop dresses crying in a corner is such a tired and frustrating idea." So, yeah, this is Chris's adaptation then of H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds. And what I thought I would do is let's have a flick through it and I can show you what Chris has created, and the differences that he has made to the original. All right. So we'll get started, and this is very good. This is proper graphic novel. We have the zooming in on Earth. You've got to imagine I'm reading this for the first time, and I'm just assuming it's a straight adaptation of the War of the Worlds, much like the Scarlet Traces graphic novel did from years back. And first curiosity, yeah, we pan in on the Earth, we go past the moon, towards the Earth, clearly aiming at England. And then we have something that looks like it's like 14th century England, and we zoom in, and now we're in like 16th century London. And we zooming in on a house, and this is where we meet our main character. So straight away, it's like, hang on, the novel's set in Woking, which in H.G. Wells's time was quite a sleepy railway town. It weren't a city; it's a town. Even now, I mean, I went there a few years ago. Yeah, there's been a bit of expansion, but it's still a town. Anyway, he starts off, the narrator, much like in the original. He tells the story. Um, he says his name is Leon, which was news to me. Would have been news to HG. Um, and yeah, this opening, it's like, what? He's going on about Anya, meeting Anya at the laboratory at Ottershaw, and how she is a scientist uncovering the secrets to disease and infection. It's I think I see where we're going here. Um, so we find out, that they have two young daughters. This is their backstory. This is all very Tim Burton-esque. Yeah, and here he is. He is an artist, quite a well-renowned one, and this is his workshop. This, of course, is all new to the story. But finally, we get the observatory at Ottershaw, which is correct. Here he is viewing Mars. This is a direct quote from the book. The Eve of the War is the correct title of the chapter. I don't know what this is meant to be. One of the cylinders. Anyway, here we go. The visitors. Okay. Ogilvy, because eventually he's named as Ogilvy, asks that make notes, do drawings. You know, you must record everything you see. As they go into Horsell Common, it says we found its remains upon the common at Horsell. And this is correct. The sun stared down at us. It was already hot. Yes, it was early in the morning. You have a large capsule embedded itself in the earth, falling in a deepened pit. Yes, that is correct. But then it's like, what? It says, yes. On close investigation, it appeared that its domed surface housed some kind of all-seeing eye. It viewed us intently, I was sure. And then, in that moment, from the depths of the pit, the capsule rose out of the earth on 3 long mechanical limbs, unfolding and extending steam and dust blasting from the steel shafts that made its legs. It turned as if to look through the glossy black lens, a huge eye observing the world around it. Right? What was its purpose? What was this thing on metal struts striding into our path? Everyone turned and made hastily for the trees. The thing lurked slowly after us, pounding the earth. I think it's at this point I'm thinking, hang on, there's no heat ray. There's no heat ray coming up on a mirrored disc, exterminating everybody on the edge of the crater. That's when it twigged that, hang on, I don't think this is for adults. I think this is for children. Yeah, and throughout this story, there is no mention of anyone dying at all. He very cleverly words something, which we're coming up to soon. These are almost like Ed 209 legs for the tripods. Chris has decided to ignore H.G. Wells saying that there's no fixed joints. But it's lovely art. It's a lovely design. Here we go. There is no mention of anyone being killed in this whatsoever, except for about Ogilvy and Leon running for it. He loses sight of him. He goes, fumes stung my eyes because, yeah, there is talk about, yeah, things are catching light, but not people. Fumes stung my eyes. I tried desperately to see up ahead, but I could only make sense of the few yards in front of me. The shadow of my companion, barely visible, was slumped to the ground on my horizon. Then underfoot there was a crunching sound beneath my boot. I stopped and felt around with my hands in the hardened earth. I found Ogilvy's spectacles broken, the glass falling between my fingers, and his hat perished and burnt. Shadow of Ogilvy and a burnt hat. That's the nearest we get. Very clever is old Chris to infer that. If you're a child, you might not pick that up. All right. So much like the book, he returns home. Anna is in this an awful lot, and there she is. It's Anna who decides that they've got to flee. They go off with their daughters. He decides to go back to the house. All right. Then he sees on the opposite slope of Maybury Hill, very good, very accurate, the tripod, the monstrous tripod that we encountered on Horsell Common. No thunderstorm, not yet anyway, all right? But now we have more illustrations. That's a beauty. That's not the cover, but it's a beauty. So he finds his way home. He then ventures out the next day and finds a train which has been destroyed. Everyone has gone. Its passengers rescued by now, I hoped. the whole place was eerily silent. All the way through the book, the people have fled. That's why everything is empty. Um, he finds the artilleryman called Troy now. They go home. They decide to just keep away from the cities and the towns. That would be safer. They pack up their belongings and off they go. Right, there's the artilleryman. Okay, there's the wrecked train. Gorgeous artwork. I see Chris has done an adaptation of the Iron Man, aka the Iron Giant. Yeah, I have to seek that out. Fantastic artwork, Chris. So off they go. This is them going, and they 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 find at Weybridge the Martians, and we kind of got the scene of the artillery attack, except there isn't an artillery attack. All right, not as depicted in the book. There's retaliation artillery fire. One of them is hit, collapses into the river, much like in the book. He doesn't jump in the river to escape from the heat ray because the heat ray isn't being mentioned. All right, but he stays in the water, and at this point, it's like, what? This is good. A vivid memory of a huge foot of a machine coming down, barely an arm's length from my half-submerged body. Yes, as the 4 remaining tripods careered overhead, picking up the body of their fallen comrade. A fragment of the strange metal floated by. Without thinking, I grabbed it and held it, and then I placed it safely in my bag. So, okay, don't know what that's for. Yeah, you find out at the end. So there he is, crashing into Shepperton Church. And then Chris has excised the narrator's brother and his trip towards Essex to get a boat out of England. Instead, he finds out about it all through finding a newspaper. All right, which is okay. Then he goes on the radio. He finds a radio and turns it on. It's like, just when is this set? I don't understand. You know, the reason for this. And then it talks about that there's the attack's not just on England, because of course, you know, when the book was written, ruled Britannia, you know, Britain ruled the world, or thought they did, and so the Martians struck at the strongest point, England, right? But here, it's going on about there were attacks across Europe, then eastwards into Persia, across to India, and as far east as Ceylon. All right. So in this book, they're landing all over the place. All right. So more lovely art. There's his newspaper. There is no Thunderchild in this. There is no scene set in the estuary at all. You have people fleeing, but nobody dying. And then there is talk in that newspaper about how a tripod had collapsed, crashed into Westminster Bridge and collapsed into the water. And that's going to be significant soon. We have the red weed because, yeah, he's holed up in a house. And here we go. Chris is being clever again because at this point I'm thinking, okay, nobody's dying. What are they going to do about when he's in the house and he's looking out the window and he finds out just what the Martians want us for? He says, then one of those black and filthy steel cables reached out and took hold of someone, capturing them somehow, swallowing them up inside its mechanical frame. I looked on aghast, and now I too was motionless and petrified. What did they want with us? We never find out. We never find out. We never even see a Martian in this. The narrator never sees a Martian. All right. So, and there's the poor unfortunate being pulled up. Okay. Lovely colours as well as the artwork. From the book, the arm coming down into the cellar, except he's not hidden in the cellar. He's not buried alive. All right. It's nice though. Very good. That's his dream of Ogilvy. War looms. Okay. He leaves the house like so. Goes back to Ottershaw to the observatory where his wife and children somehow are still there. They've gone back because they need to research just what's going on. And this is where we get a huge diversion, all right? Because he's shown them all his drawings that he's done. And let me, is it here or later on? No, I think we've got it later on, the revelation and the major departure from the original. This is where we get the proper artillery attack on the tripods, okay? In a thunderstorm, okay? The thunderstorm that's when he's meant to first see the tripod happens here, and it happens here for a reason. This is the war between tripods and the artillery, all right? And the tripods collapse, right? And the reason they collapse, and I really don't know why this decision was made, is that yes, indeed, the Martians, even though we never see a Martian, are defeated by the bacteria that they don't have on their planet. It's actually transmitted through water. That's why, the one fell apart in by Shepperton Church. It's the one that walked in the Thames, collapsed and destroyed Westminster Bridge, is that they are vulnerable to water. All right. And apparently they couldn't figure out why the tripods weren't going in a straight line. They were going in a roundabout way. That's when they realized they're avoiding the rivers, right? Yeah. So yeah, they know that there's a threat in the water, but I guess they hadn't figured on rain. Now I don't know why this decision was done. I don't know if it's to stop children being scared that there might be an airborne germ to be afraid of, or what. I don't know. And that's how it ends. I mean, we've got some lovely um, um, illustrations of the happy ending and the defeated tripods. Okay, this is from the moment I watched the Martians. Oh, he does call them Martians. I forget. They were doomed, dying and rotting even as they marched onwards. It had been inevitable all along. Every drop of moisture, every molecule had worked against them. From the smallest drop on the tiniest leaf on the smallest tree to the might of the flow through the Thames. So I don't understand why we have germs in water rather than just germs in the air. I mean, is this like a post-COVID thing that we don't want to scare the children? I don't know. As I said at the start, it's a curiosity, and it's very well done, and the artwork is beautiful, and it is very interesting, and I'm glad I've got it. So there we go. This has actually got me thinking I should have a look through other adaptations of War of the Worlds. Other adaptations of War of the Worlds in graphic novel form. As I say, I've got the Scarlet Traces and the sequels, so maybe I will have a look at them. I know there are others, but I've never really sought them out. So there we go. I'll just finish up by saying I'll put a link below in the comment thing, in the description thing, to my War of the Worlds Facebook page that I have. If you're a fan of War of the Worlds, I urge you to pop on over there and say hi. I try to add to it from time to time, but I've got so many interests, so many hobbies, so many podcasts. I should do it more. This has inspired me actually. I'm going to rejuvenate it. So yeah, please head on over there. Hope you like this, and I'll be back soon.